The latest Sweet Baby Inc. Infected game has arrived to Steam Early Access south of midnight from Compulsion Games. It is now available to purchase through Steam Early Access, and the player counts are utterly abysmal. They are really, really bad. So let's get into this here. I wrote this up over at phantompulse.com. You can find the link in the description below. If you're unfamiliar with this game, Compulsion Games describes it as an action-adventure game that allows players to explore the mythos and confront mysterious creatures of the deep South in a modern folktale while learning to weave an ancient power to surmount obstacles and unravel your family's hidden past. The game puts players in control of Hazel, who is called to become a weaver, a magical mender of broken bonds and spirits. Imbued with these new abilities, Hazel will confront and subdue dangerous creatures, tangle the webs of her own family's shared past, and if she's lucky, find her way to a place that feels like home. And as I said, the game went into early access on Steam earlier today, and Xbox and Compulsion Games put out a new launch trailer for the game. It comes out of Steam early access on April 8th, where it opens up to the general public for sale. So early player counts for the game do not look good. SteamDB reports the game hit a peak concurrent player count of 479 and has already dropped below the peak. You can see it was at 469 when I took the screenshot. We can see it right here. It still is sitting at that 469. We can refresh. So you can see 479 was the all-time peak about 34 minutes ago, 469 now. I do expect that to go up as people continue to come home from school, get off from work, especially throughout the United States. As I'm recording, it's only 4:13 p.m. Eastern time. So I do expect that to increase at least a little bit. I'm not sure if it'll get over 1,000 though. I think getting over 1,000 might be tough for it. And I wonder how many of these players right now are Xbox employees, Compulsion Games employees. One has to wonder. However, these early numbers look really bad. I think there's no way that you can spin these numbers as good. They look absolutely terrible. But on top of that, you can look here at the followers, only 19,591. That's not good. You've only got about 30,000 people watching on Twitch. The game is only 108 on wishlist and 126th in top sellers. So really, really, really bad. The poor player counts are not at all surprising for a game that has Sweet Baby Inc. attached to it. If you go back to last year, we can look at some other recent examples of releases that had that were developed by Sweet Baby Inc. or Sweet Baby Inc. worked on them, including Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn. That game only hit a peak of 648 concurrent players. You can look at that right here over on SteamDB. You can see peak 648 back in July of last year. We can also look at Unknown 9 Awakening. That only did 285 back in October. So at least South of Midnight has beat Unknown 9 Awakening, but still has not surpassed Flintlock yet. Still has a little bit to go there. We'll see if it gets past Flintlock. Maybe the biggest commercial disaster Sweet Baby Inc. was associated with last year was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That game hit a peak concurrent player count of just 13,459 back in February, and Warner Brothers Discovery would go on to admit that it had to take a $200 million impairment charge on the game. So a game that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on doing poorly, not surprising. Seems to be a trend. But not only does South of Midnight have Sweet Baby Inc. going against it, but the company itself made headlines last year when its community manager, Katie Robinson, declared she hates gamers after previously stating that white male gamers were a mistake. So back in February 2024, Robinson, who uses the handle Pikacholita, posted this over on X. Honestly, I hate gamers. Now, that is what she posted February 14, 3:35 in the morning. Back in an interview with Refinery 29 in 2022, Robinson also admitted to posting to social media white male gamers were a mistake. She told the outlet, "You're not going to tickle some people's fancy being outspoken or tweeting things like I do when I say white male gamers were a mistake. I like to think that my kind of presence acts as a way to kind of show people like, hey, you can be outspoken, you can have a backbone and stand for something and still be successful." Remember, these are the people that will tell you that you're full of hate when they post things like white male gamers were a mistake. But as Jack Posobiec likes to say, the hypocrisy, the contradictions do not matter. They only want to obtain power, and they want to obtain power so they can destroy civilization. That is what they are all about. And we see this over and over and over and over again. This obviously being another example. Outside of their community manager, the entire company literally applauded Crystal Dynamics for including a trigger warning in front of the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered starring Lara Croft games that came out last year. You can see that Compulsion Games posted this to their official account, saying many video games are a product of the times they were created in. As we look to recreate and remaster these stories for modern audiences, it's important to consider the implications of these harmful portrayals and do our part to rewrite new history, not repeat it. We applaud our peers at Crystal Dynamics for the reflections and corrections. So you kind of get an idea of what this company stands for. It literally wants to rewrite history in order to convince people of whatever ideology it is trying to push. And I think it's very clear that it has fully embraced DEI and woke ideologies. We need look no further than the fact that it hired Sweet Baby Inc. to work on the game. You do not hire a company like Sweet Baby Inc. that has made it very clear that it is trying to push woke ideologies. If you yourself are not trying to push woke ideology, there would be no reason to hire them at all. And they did. So I think that this game is going to do really, really bad. All indicators look like that is going to be the case. And they have no one to blame but themselves. They were the ones who chose this path. And they are going to, I think, suffer the consequences. I think we will see some layoffs likely in the future at Compulsion Games if the studio even survives after this release. But at the same time, we also do have to recognize that a bunch of money was put into this game by Xbox, by Microsoft, that could have gone into other things, could have gone into things that were not going to sow division, that were not going to spread hate, that were not created by people that hate you. And that's really sad and that's really unfortunate. And we have to work to try to change that. We have to work to try to either A, convince these companies that they need to be putting their money elsewhere, which I'm not sure how effective we've been at that. Obviously, there's some rumors that Sony is canceling contracts with Sweet Baby Inc. But at the same time, I also think we have to kind of take the advice of J.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and make our own stuff and promote people that are making their own stuff. And that is definitely something that we do here over at Fandom Pulse. I can just name off the top of my head. Obviously, recommend my co-owner's books and comic books, John De La Rose. He has really good stuff. I think Isaac Young's Domes of Calrathia is an excellent novel that you can take a look at. And I think Razor Fist's Ghost of the Badlands is really good as well. Have that on my bookshelf behind me. And then obviously, I really like to talk about Brian Niemeyer's Combat Frame X series. Really, really good stuff in there as well. Obviously, those are novels and comic books, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot of up-and-coming video games as well. In the meantime, I highly, highly recommend Unicorn Overlord, which came out last year. Really, really fantastic game. Spiritual successor to Ogre Battle 64, if you happen to play that on the Nintendo 64. So there is still some great games coming out, and they are worth your money and worth playing, and are really, really good. So that is what we try to do here: call out the bad, promote the good. But let me know what you guys make of South of Midnight here. Let me know in the comments below. Are you really surprised at these numbers? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, and to always, always speak the truth.